Let me first of all welcome everyone to today's webinar on FME 2021.2. And we are going to start off by introducing ourselves. And Lena, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Lena, and I'm product manager for FME Mobile applications.
Stuart.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, my name's Stuart, and I oversee the cloud group at Safe Software, so FME Cloud, FME Hub, and also the streams work on FME Server.
Don.
Hey, yeah, so thanks, Dale. So I'm Don Murray. I'm one of the co-founders of Safe, and get to work with a great team at Safe on mostly focusing on server and everybody's favorite XML technologies, but I get to work with all the fine folks on this call. Yeah.
And Don, I think there's exactly one bullet that's going to be about XML. Are you ready for a speech on that?
I'm ready. I'm ready. And I did some research and I changed the bullet, but it is XML related. Oh.
Wow. Okay, we're in for a treat here, folks, in just a few minutes. My name is Dale Lutz. I'm the other co-founder of Safe Software, and I'm so thrilled to be able to show you the results together with the rest of the panelists today of what the team has been up to for the last little while. We're also joined by Elizabeth, who's keeping us all organized and really the producer of the show. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Happy to be joining you guys.
And off camera somewhere, we have Sienna, who's busy, ready to answer your questions as they come up. So please don't be afraid to ask questions and chime in and keep the discussion going sort of as a bit of a back channel while we're presenting. Thanks, Sienna. So overall, as we were hinting in the pre-webinar chat, we're going to talk a little bit actually about the actual release. There's not a lot to talk about. Then we're going to zoom in and look at the cloud, hang on over to mobile, and finish up with some live Q&A. So Don, do you want to walk us through this nice diagram here?
Yeah, so this is a high-level overview of the platform that we sell at Safe. Focusing on enterprise integration of all data. At Safe now we talk about spatial data and beyond, and so you can see how it all fits in here, authoring the data flows on desktop, pulling all your data connections together, and then you publish the server where you can automate, and so then the server can look after itself, running tasks when certain conditions happen. And you can see how it fits into the FME Cloud. FME Cloud is a really easy way of deploying that enterprise integration platform, pulling applications together, FME Server, and also supports FME Data Express and FME AR, and we'll talk about those in detail today.
Yes. So now we zoom in and look at the highlights of FME 2021.2, and really our .2 releases are always around stability and reliability. And so here are a set of the themes, and you know, I think folks can probably read these. Don, is there any that kind of shine for you out of this list?
I would say, you know, the solidification is a good one, and you know, really rounding the corners, making things even more and more solid from release to release. Yeah.
You know, I thought of it afterwards, but the hardening word really could also refer to the fact that we do a whole round of security updates to the various libraries that we use. So there's a huge number of libraries that FME integrates, and we're always watching the database of vulnerabilities and keeping on top of that. So one of the key things in a .2 is that we've done our best to address all of those library flaws that are known out there and make sure we're up to date. But in general, you get the feeling it's really a whole release around basically making the best possible version of the functionality that we had in the 2021 available.
Yeah, yeah.
So I should actually explain, Don made a good point last night about this slide. So it's not that we made 758 little changes. This is how many actual commits to the code base, how many groups of changes or bundles of changes that there were since the .1 came out. So anyway, the team has been busy. There are things there, all to do with those previous themes that we just said. And here is a list of the various updates that we thought we'd highlight. Of course, the security ones and the minor bug fixes. Oh, Don, you did a switcheroo on me there.
Yes. CSW, for those folks who are working with catalog services for the web, we've done a lot of work on that. So that is a big one for some of our folks out there who are interested in metadata and things like that. Yep.
Yes, we had a separate project going on, the FME 2022 development to try to multi-thread our shapefile reading, but in the process, we learned that actually there was some inefficiency in the current shapefile readers, so we swung back and actually removed a nasty regular expression, Don, and it's amazing what the impact that has. So the shapefile reading is drastically faster actually in FME 2021.2.
Wow. And that's almost like the Excel of spatial data, really. So that's just fantastic.
Yeah. So it actually is quite amazing how fast we can read shape now. And lastly, Don, have you upgraded to Monterey on Mac OS, or what's your upgrade policy?
I'm on Monterey. I am.
So you'll be pleased to know that this release fixes the fact that FME didn't work at all on Monterey just a few days ago. So
that's good. Yes, I discovered on the weekend that one of my betas didn't work, so I upgraded. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And Lena was telling me she also upgraded and was dead in the water. So fortunately, we weren't dead in the water very long. But if you're living on the edge with the latest Mac OS, you are in for a nice surprise in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a graph database that ESRI has recently been working on, and we've been working with them on the import-export side. And so we're pleased to fully release the knowledge reader and writer in this release of FME. It was there as kind of a tech preview or a bit of a beta in the past, but really we're full on with it. And you can see, I suspect, or even as I'm saying this, Elizabeth is chatting out the links to those articles. But yeah, it's an interesting frontier. Don, did you ever do some work with Neo4j in the past?
Yeah, we did. Dean and I did some work with Neo4j, and of course, in that case, it was flinging JSON in and out.
Yeah.
I never became a reader or writer, but so it's exciting. We're seeing graph databases, really come into their own.
And I think also one of our partners actually it was Sweco, that did a bunch of work with Stardog, which is an unfortunately named, well, I don't know, maybe it may or may not be a bad name.
Maybe
it's an interesting, yes, but I am curious. So ESRI Knowledge is another in that family that lets you basically store interesting connections between data that let you do amazing queries and produce results super fast. I would be interested in the chat if people have interest in those other ones, Stardog or Neo4j, or if you plan to use the ESRI Knowledge, let us know.
Yeah. This is the big one for FME Server. It enables you through FME Server apps or when running a workspace to be able to select data that you want to use to drive the your FME Server app in particular. So and so you have a new search feature. Also, you'll also improve toolbar, and the way you can draw shapes on the map is improved as well. So this is really big because we have lots of customers out there build FME Server apps, and they want a really nice way for the folks who are using them to be able to intuitively select areas that they want to use for their query.
Yeah, that's a nice big improvement.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, and Don,
So one of the things on the FME Server side is enabling it to work with across your enterprise in whatever security that you are having in your organization. So we did AD a while back, and now we've done Azure AD. Even though the name is the same, the underlying technology is completely different. And so that's just our strategy to enable you to use whatever security platform that you have to plug the FME platform into it. And would it be giving things away, Dale, if I said in 2022 where we've added SAML support? Would that be okay to share that?
Yeah, it would be. You're allowed to.
Yes. So yeah. So that's really great. This one. Yeah.
Good. All right. So I think it's now, I actually just went right now to the downloads page, and yes, the official 2021.2 is there on the downloads page, although the banner does say that 2021.1 is now available. See what's new. So the web page is being updated as we speak, but you can go and start it downloading right now if you want to, and let it kind of get going while you're watching the rest of the webinar. But just before we leave this section, Don, is there anything else you'd want to say about the .2?
It's just faster. It's got a lot of small improvements, I would say. I think you summarized it really well with those those 5 bullets you had, you know,
Yeah.
solidification, strengthening, all those sorts of things. And of course, no release has no new functionality, so there's lots of little things, but we didn't want to just go through all those. We thought we would share the spotlight with the cloud and the mobile teams. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, with that, we're going to hand it over to our colleagues to talk to us about FME Cloud and FME Mobile, which are very, very important in the FME ecosystem. So look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Dale. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so let's dive in and take a look at FME Cloud. So yeah, the main thing we want to do today actually is introduce an all new FME Cloud. So we've been working on this now. Actually, we started this just after kind of the lockdown. So we've been working on this for, 15, 16 months now. Team have really been focused, and we've essentially rebuilt FME Cloud from the ground up. So the new web interface and a new API as well. So we're going to have a look at that. Before we dive into that, for those that aren't kind of aware of what FME Cloud is, I just want to give a brief overview of kind of the offering. So FME Cloud it's our hosted deployment option for FME Server. So rather than you running FME Server on your own infrastructure, whether that be AWS or Azure or on-premises, you can run FME Server on our cloud. And so what that means is rather than having to, procure hardware, set up everything, make sure everything's secure, worry about backups and things like that, you just click some buttons in the UI, as you'll see, launch an FME Server in a couple of minutes. And then once it's up and running, Safe Software looks after, the security and all of the infrastructure for you. So with the new FME Cloud interface, it's not only more secure, because this was one of the main reasons kind of driving us to upgrade and make the changes, but it's also much, much more intuitive. So we're hoping that it's going to make it easier than ever to monitor and manage your instances on FME Server instances. So a few benefits of FME Cloud. So obviously you're going to get all of the benefits of FME Server. And I was actually even thinking the Azure AD integration that Don just mentioned, I'm pretty sure that will work on FME Cloud as well, because all of the configuration is through the UI. So anytime you see updates and changes on FME Server, you'll get those on FME Cloud. So you can deploy a production-ready FME Server in less than 10 minutes. You can change the size of the FME Server virtual machine, so you can scale that up or down. So maybe you start doing a proof of concept on a small machine, and then as you move towards production, you can increase the size of that virtual machine with a couple of minutes of downtime. We automate the backup and recovery for every FME Server you launch, so you can roll back if you make a delete something or get rid of something, and you can roll back, click of a few buttons in the UI. We handle all of the security for you as well, so everything's encrypted. We have third-party audits to look at our infrastructure to make sure everything's as secure as it could be. And we also have flexible pricing as well, so you can either run the FME Server hourly, or if you're going to run it all the time, you can pay annually for that. So that's a very high overview of kind of the benefits of FME Cloud. What I want to do now is really start looking at the new user interface. So we're actually just going to hop straight into the app here. And the first thing I want to show you is the new instance launch. So this is how you're going to launch a new FME Server virtual machine. And it's used to be in a wizard over a couple of pages, but now we've consolidated everything into one easy page. So when you land on the new FME Cloud UI, which, sorry, I forgot to mention, so it's going to come live kind of mid-December, early December. So this is kind of a sneak preview at the moment, but yeah, about 6 weeks out and you'll be able to log in and you'll see exactly this. So when you land on the dashboard, we'll talk about this in a second, but you can click Create Instance here, and this is how you launch your FME Server. So we're going to launch a streams processing instance here for doing some reading from a Kafka queue, let's say. So we can add in a URL, and you can see as we type in here, the summary box changes on the right here, telling you what you're going to be entering. So we're going to enter, we're going to add a description here. We can choose our FME Server version. So the 2021.2 beta, I'll choose that. Obviously that will come out of beta. I think actually later today this will switch out of beta and be an official release. And then we can choose the region that we want to launch the FME server into. This is very important for two reasons. One is data sovereignty. Where does your data live once you provision this? So you can keep it hopefully within your jurisdiction, and also performance as well. Obviously you want the FME server to be as close to you as possible for latency reasons. I'm going to then choose a professional instance, so you can change the size of the virtual machine here, anywhere from 4 gig of RAM and 2 CPUs, all the way up to 48 CPUs and 192 gigabytes of RAM. Change the disk if you want. If you're doing raster processing, we had some customers with over a terabyte disk because they're pulling down huge amounts of imagery onto the instance for processing. But most people, probably 10, 20 gigabytes enough. Then you can choose a number of backups. The more backups you keep, the more it costs, but obviously you can roll back further into the past. And then where do you want the alerts sent to when there's an issue with the instance? So new for this release as well is you can now assign a static IP to the instance. So previously you would have to do this after the instance was launched. And a static IP is useful as if you don't use a static IP, when you pause or stop the virtual machine, the IP changes. So this makes sure that even when you pause and stop the instance, you have the same IP. So we can attach a static IP there. And then we can review the summary here, check the URL's good, the version's good, location, and we can also look at the cost breakdown here. So you can see the biggest differentiator when it comes to cost is the type, and it varies dramatically from 90 cents an hour up to $10 an hour. And then it's as simple as clicking create instance, and then you're redirected to this new streams page which shows the instance launching. So that's the instance launch. The next thing I want to look at is the new dashboard. So this is where you're going to land now when you log into FME Cloud. This didn't exist in the old application. And really, this is all about making it really, really easy to manage both your account on FME Cloud and the instances that you're running. So let's dive in here and have a look at the dashboard. So the first thing you'll see is this big panel here, and this shows your active alerts. And it also shows all of the instances you have running. So the 3 instances you have running we show here. So you can access the FME server directly from this page here by clicking on the URL here. You can also copy the link, which went down very well in user testing. So you can copy the link here and then paste it in your browser. And you can also directly access the instance from here as well. The other key thing we have on this page is account alerts. So if your credit card's expiring, or there's a subscription that's not assigned or expiring, or various other things, we prompt you here for action. So this makes sure your account's completely up to date. And this dashboard will change as well if there's something going on with the infrastructure that we're running on. We'll post messages here. The trial shows how many credits you have left and things like that. So it's dynamic based on where you are with your FME Cloud journey. We also show which support plan you're on down here, if you've been managed by an MSP or not, or safe software, and we'll also push announcements here as well. So yeah, I really think this is a big improvement in terms of your experience with using FME Cloud. The other big thing is now we have a dedicated page for the instance. So this is a page for an FME server. Basically, there's a one-to-one relationship between the FME server that you're running here, and this page is enabling you to manage this FME server. So you can see here, here's the link to the FME server, but then we've got the size of the virtual machine, where it's running. You can actually assign and unassign IPs in here if the instance was paused. You can buy subscriptions in here in line. So it's really a one-stop shop is this page for managing your instance. You can also see here I've actually got an active alert on this instance. So I've got a high engine count, and I've actually set an alert here if there's more than 8 engines for 5 minutes, I want an alert, because I don't want to have more than 8 engines running on this instance, because it's likely to cause problems. So this alert's triggered now, and I'll see that on the dashboard as well. That's what this alert is here. Big thing that people are asking for is kind of enhanced monitoring with the instances. So these charts have been completely redone for this release. And the nice thing about these charts is, if I zoom out a little bit, you can actually see I can now drag and drop on the UI to zoom in. So we can look at what's this spike for here, and start to kind of dive into the specifics. And whenever you zoom in on one chart, it synchronizes across all of the charts, so you can kind of easily look at the disk usage, memory usage, and it helps you debug. The other big thing now is, if I switch to 1 month here, you can see here now that these charts show historical data. So prior to this release, every single time you pause the instance, which you can see what's happening here, these gaps are when the instance is being paused, we lost the data. So now we're actually storing and keeping that data, and so you can roll back to an event that happened before you last paused the instance and kind of go and deep dive on that. So I'm excited by this, and I believe actually FME Server are going to be adopting these kind of this charting library as well in their product. Okay, yeah, so once you get to log into cloud, there's lots of other things. We've redone all the billing, so you can see a cost summary for the last year, or you can access all of your invoices. You can configure billing alerts, so you can configure a low credit alert that alerts when you're running out of credit, or when your costs go over a certain amount. So there's never any worry on FME Cloud about spending too much or running things down. You can configure cost kind of alerts around all of these things. Okay, so we've covered the dashboard, we've covered the instance overview. This is a key thing with the instance overview as well. The pages are now bookmarkable. So in the old app, when you navigated to an instance here, you couldn't bookmark the instance, but now you can actually bookmark a specific tab, even, so you could share the monitoring with a colleague, cut and paste this URL, and it will work and go straight to this page. So lots of small user tweaks to make your life better. We've really tried to kind of think about the user experience here. The other thing is we've completely rewritten the API underneath. So this will launch a little bit after the UI, but you'll have a nice Swagger API like FME Server, and anything you can do in the API almost, in the UI, you can also do in the API. And these are kind of some of the key things that the customers use the API for. Okay, so that's kind of a really fast overview of FME Cloud, and yeah, we'll make some noise when it gets released, probably in around 6 weeks. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is hand over to Lena, and she's going to talk all about FME Mobile.
Let's move to mobile applications. We have 2 applications, FME Data Express and FME AR. FME Data Express allows running FME server jobs from a mobile device. It means that now you can access your data or your workflows anytime from anywhere. No need to go back to the office. No need to carry around your laptop. All you need is your phone or tablet. And FME AR brings data to life by augmenting the real-world environment with computer-generated objects. It allows you to see your data where it belongs or experience it in a real environment. You can download both applications from App Store and Play Store, and they are free of charge. First, let's take a look at FME Data Express changes. We have been working on UI improvement and improving user experience. Back in September, we released FME Data Express 2.0 with new UI. This UI has different color scheme and different styles, and basically our goal was to match look and feel of other components of FME platform. Along with that, we introduced many changes that will improve user experience. We added search capability. We improved navigation, improved parameter widgets, and we continue working on this. Right now, we are working on release 2.1, which will be released in December. And it will have some cosmetic changes, like, for example, multiple choice parameter, as you can see on this animated GIF on the right side of my screen, that presents multiple choice parameters as a bunch of checkboxes. But there will be other more noticeable changes. For example, we are working on preset and server app management. You will be able to edit existing workspace presets or server apps, see outdated presets, edit and rearrange, reorder server apps in the application. Another function that we are adding is the ability to change your user password for FME Server, basically forgot your password functionality. Error messages will be much better. They not only will notify you about the error that happens, we attempt to explain what might have caused the problem. For example, if the connection to FME Server failed, we will give you a hint whether it was invalid user credentials or whether the server is secured and you need to alter your URL. And we also join the FME platform effort in improving security. All user credentials will be now stored in encrypted secure device storage. Next change I'm very excited to talk about is high accuracy allocation. We would like to thank EOS Positioning Systems for providing us with EOS Air Gold GNSS receiver and helping us all the way with our testing and experimenting. Thanks to them, we have confirmed that both applications, FME Data Express and FME AR on iOS and Android, are able to connect to external GNSS receiver. Why would that make a difference? If you're working with your phone or tablet, normally the position accuracy that you get is in best case about 5 meters. It can be much worse if you are in the downtown or somewhere deep in the forest. And for many scenarios, that is not sufficient. With the external GNSS receiver, you will get accuracy in centimeters. Like EOS Air Gold is a survey grade receiver, and it gives about 25 centimeters precision. However, it can also be improved with RTK technique, and with that you can get up to 1 centimeter precision. On this diagram, you can see that we experimented. We were in a roundabout and decided to collect the data. We collected it with iPhone, iPad Pro 2nd generation, and Samsung Galaxy. All those yellow, orange, and red shapes are collected with those devices with no external GPS. And the green line was collected with ears with RTK. What you can see that it's not only sits well on the imagery, there are actually 2 green lines that sit very precisely on top of each other. It means that we not only get high accuracy, it's high precision, and the data is very reliable. And the first experiment that we decided to do was to collect some data using FME Data Express. This is an invasive blackberry, a patch of invasive blackberry, and the area of this patch is maybe 15-20 square meters. So if we were collecting it with 5 meter position accuracy, we wouldn't get a meaningful result. With the EOS Air Gold with RTK, we got a very precise data. And just to mention, this was not a farm thornless blackberry. That was the real one with the big sharp thorns.
Lena not sacrificing everything for science, really. Thank you, Lena.
Exactly, it was really fun. Haven't done any survey activities for quite a number of years. Accurate allocation is also quite often important for FME AR for loading AR models. You can imagine a situation when you are looking for, let's say, a damaged underground power cable that is also covered with 2 meters of snow. You wouldn't want the crew to start digging 5 meters away from the cable. You would want them to go as precise as possible. In this video, we used Port Moody infrastructure data and created a model with storm drains. After loading the model, and it was loaded very precisely, we had no difficulties locating those storm drains, even though they were completely covered with leaves, and basically cleaning them. That's it. Both of them were found. Next change we are working on is the requested for a long time FME AR on Android. We used to have FME AR on Android a few years ago, but it was not updated and it was falling behind iOS version. In September, we released version 1.2, which had some basic functionality. The new thing that I'm excited about was a new rendering engine and GLTF model support. These two together will not only give you much better rendering, and it's already improved, and we still have many plans how to make the rendering even better. But GLTF itself brings a lot of, gives you access probably for more advanced functionality. Like, for example, animated models. This is now possible. This version, though, didn't have a key functionality that many our users need. It's geolocation support. And this is now work in progress, and we are releasing in December. Version 1.3 will have full geolocation support, and it will acknowledge model initial scale, which means that the workspace author will have control over the default model scale at loading. However, the user with the device, when they load the model, they will be able to change the scale if they need to. And the last but not least, attribute support. If you have been watching our progress with FME AR, you probably have seen our demos where we create labels to represent attributes for the features. On the left screenshot, you can see that triangular prism with some attributes. This is the label. So labels are objects embedded into the model. It's a quite tedious job to create them from the workspace side. In the model, they are seen at all time, which for some scenarios, it's a good thing. You want to see them all the time. But if you have too many features and you need to see attributes for all of them, it might create clutter on your screen. This is why we are going with the feature summary functionality. Feature summary is a short overview of feature attributes. It's fully controlled by the workspace author, and you retrieve them when pointing at the feature. So basically, you see one of the time, and if you have many features, you can check them one by one. We are finalizing work on feature summary support on iOS, and it will be released by the end of November. The next step for us will be feature information support. It will be the complete list of attributes on the feature, and to retrieve them, the user would need to tap on the feature. This will be the next project we will be working on iOS side. And on Android side, we will start working on attributes as soon as we release geolocation support. This is all I was going to talk about, and I guess I'm passing by to Don and Dale.
Yeah, and I think we have a couple polls here coming up as well. So we'll start with this first one.
So yes, we would like to ask you, how important is attribute support for you?
We'll give everyone maybe 15 seconds to type in their answer there. So far, very important or somewhat important. That's great.
It feels very good to know that we are on the right track and that we are implementing exactly what you will find helpful.
It is already pretty impressive to see those little tips popping up as you scan the scene. It's amazing. Actually, the technology underneath is pretty amazing as well, that it all just hangs together.
Yeah, and from each release, what we're doing there really at a super high level is improving the immersive experience so that the the data that you want to visualize in your augmented reality appears in higher fidelity. And also you can see the properties, which underneath the covers, we call those attributes because that's what they come out of the database. But, because just like on a map, a red line is one thing. A red line that actually is labeled and enables you to see what it represents is another thing. So, high fidelity AR base that shows your data along with the properties. Some of them can be floating and other ones you could dig into more detail is just, really exciting. And FME is uniquely able to present that because of course we support more data sources than anybody else. So this AR is just fantastic.
All right, I'll close out this poll. It looks like most of you voted.
Is there a way to share the results to everybody, Elizabeth? There it is.
Hey.
Let's see. That's a pretty strong show of support for the attribute support, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yes. And our next question is, how important is the ability to connect to an external GPS for high accuracy location in FME Data Express and FME AR?
I was just reading the report that that Dimitri and Lena have written about the external GPS, and it one thing that was quite interesting is that it's so accurate that that you have to care about exactly what datum your coordinate systems are for your source data, because otherwise you're off. Isn't that right, Lena? I think the original tests you're off by a meter, but it turned out it was because the data wasn't quite right.
Exactly. It was probably right, but we didn't interpret it right. But
yes,
honestly, it was amazing. With the power of FME, we were able to easily correct that.
Yes, because it was a matter of going from NAT83 to what, the official WGS 84, or what was it?
Yeah, it was tough. So I'm supposed to understand the terrain better, but I was honestly at the beginning I was very puzzled.
Yeah. I remember in the old days when we'd see data and it was within 10 meters, I remember one of our staff who was a surveyor at the time said, it's crazy to have to claim that your data is more accurate than 10 meters, because he didn't believe that it would be. And here we are today down to centimeters. So things have changed a bit in the last 30 years or so.
Yeah. But it's about the data that is available, because we've seen basically sewage that seems to be off. We saw 100-meter tall light poles. It's interesting when you go in the field and you look at the data, and sometimes you see those little details that can be corrected. It's so easy to notice in the AR model. And
Yes.
I believe it's much more difficult when you just look at the huge database. And
yeah. As AR rolls out for municipalities especially, there's going to be a lot of data correction going to happen over the next few years, especially when you put on those sweet Apple glasses and start getting a live feed of this.
oh yes, can't wait for that.
All right, we should close the poll maybe. Yeah, once again, it looks like you're on the right track there, Lena.
Yeah, great. Thank you for your support.
All right, Well, we just wanted to finish up with a few resources. And again, Elizabeth can chat these out. We've got some tutorials about using FME AR. I know not everybody is using that or has a need to, but it is a powerful option in your tool bag. You know, Don, if there was somebody else that made a killer AR app that had a data format we could feed, I don't think we would have done this ourselves, but nobody has done it, it seems.
Yeah, that's right. It was a really obvious one for us. We looked around, and unlike other applications out there wasn't one, and so we decided to build it and use the preferred formats on both iOS and Android. So it's really great. Turned out well.
Yeah, and the kind of 1, 2, 3 punch of FME Server / Cloud, FME DX, and FME AR let you make a very powerful, compelling way to deliver this experience, especially for municipalities, out to folks in the field very, very quickly and easily. So it's exciting to see that all get evolving.
Yeah, really good word there, Dale, experience. And so, when folks are, whether you're a utility company or a local government, and you want to, go out into the field and experience, all your data assets. And Dimitri showed just one example, locating them. It could be dial before you dig. It could be many things. In Vancouver, of course, we get lots of rain. So where exactly are those catch basins so a neighborhood doesn't flood? It is an easy, obvious one, and you could just see how easy it was for him just to walk around and locate things, and it can just save so much time. You can imagine folks driving around even in a truck, and they're looking, they can just look at telephone poles or lights or any sort of infrastructure, and then see all the attribution pop up. Just can save so much time. And the pricing, yes, that Lena showed, it is free. We do not charge for the app, so you can deploy as many apps across your organization as needed. And we might say, well, why does SAFE do that? Well, these apps need data, and it's the whole FME platform that serves that data. And so you're going to need FME in the background, FME server in the back that's going to serve the data. Yeah, so it's a really great way to extend the platform.
Exactly. And hey, if you have a friend that'll give you an FME AR file and you can use it, we're good with that too. So basically help yourselves. But yeah, Don, Dimitri has said in the past, he had a line for us, don't inspect your data, experience it. And I think, what Lena was showing us about seeing the data out in the field, I think it is kind of a step change in terms of what's going to happen for data quality and data usefulness as well.
Yeah. And these two things we showed today, they do connect together. We do have, the ability for you to try FME Cloud for free. We give you $250 credit. You get that. You get the FME AR. Now you can connect them together. Reach out to us, and we can help you, get a prototype system, and you can show folks in your organization that, hey, this thing actually can save us a lot of time. So anybody who has infrastructure in the ground, and that's utilities, local government, telephone, pretty much everybody, you can just connect those two things together, give it a try, and then you're going to be amazed at how much value and how much time these can save. And it's just fun. I mean, rather than being in a truck, looking on a spreadsheet, and then trying to command that to another map. When you're driving around an area looking for some infrastructure or want to take stats, just being able to point your device and see all your assets overlaid on your reality is just fantastic.
Yeah, and we didn't even show the portable hole techniques today, but that's another thing that some of that Dimitri and Lena have done, and some of the customers, where you basically can cut an artificial hole in the ground and show what's buried underneath if you have good data. So it's pretty impressive. So this slide is about the fancy webinar badge business. If you are in our community, you can get a badge for attending today, and that's the exciting code CASMW.
Yes, and if you don't know about our community, please go there. Community.safe.com, sign up. It's just an amazing group of FME enthusiasts who can show you how to solve whatever your data challenges are.
Okay, now we're ready for some Q&A. We got a bit of time, and I see Langdon has asked a really good question about can we briefly summarize what the data requirements are if you want to start using FME AR? And basically, Don, I'd say that really the main thing is you need to be fairly sure about the accuracy, or at least hope that your data is pretty accurate to the ground. You don't have to have a Z coordinate or a Z coordinate because we can lie it down on the surface by default. If you have a Z, we can of course elevate it too. But I don't know if do you have anything more to add to that, Don?
No, I agree 100%. All you need are X, Y, or lat long coordinates, and away you go. I mean, even if things are underground, often you want to see them on the surface anyway. And you saw in some of Dimitri's things, you can use color to indicate the type of pipe that you're looking at. If you're looking at underground infrastructure, you want it on the surface. So blue for gas or blue for water, whatever you want. Yeah.
How about you, Lena? In your experience with this in the field and all the examples you've done, what have you learned about data requirements?
Oh, first of all, I think the first thing to mention is the data doesn't need to be 3D. Even those storm drain basins, they are 2D objects. We just added something through 3D to see them. But then, yeah, the more precise, the better. It does help to find them if they are in place.
Let's see, what else can we answer?
There's a good question earlier on about is it possible to set up a trial cloud instance, and is it possible to migrate an existing FME server to a cloud instance?
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yeah, so as Don mentioned, there is a trial cloud instance, so you can sign up to FME Cloud for free with no credit card, and you get $250 to launch an instance, and that's about a starter instance is 90 cents an hour, so you could run that for around 300 hours. So if you only run it during office hours, that's quite a long time. And yeah, I mean, FME Cloud is FME Server, so you can migrate an on-prem or any FME server actually to an FME Cloud FME Server, no problem. You just do that via the FME Server interface.
Yeah.
It looks like we do have one other question here asking about what licensing options we have available.
Okay, I can jump in on that one. So Stuart did a great job of covering FME Cloud. So on FME Cloud, we have the free starter, and you can pay hourly or you can pay annually. For FME Server itself, we have you can buy perpetual licenses. So that would be you would buy a number of processing units we call engines. Or you can buy CPU time, so you could buy the amount of CPU time that you wanna buy, and then you could have as many processing units or engines as you want, and you can scale them up and down. We also have subscriptions. So if you're a local government or utility or in a variety of industries, then you can reach out to us and you can buy a subscription, which enables you to change and grow your deployment at your will over the period of the subscription. So lots of options. Reach out to us, so I'm sure we can make something work.
Yeah, especially if we have certain subscription packages for different industries that are actually, frankly, compelling great value that are based on kind of the size of your number of subscribers or your number of citizens, your number of clients. And especially since FME as an entire platform now works together so well, it's a very, very good option for many to look at. Yeah, I think, is there anything else that we should talk about? Otherwise, Don and I are going to start talking about FME 2022. So
There is another good question about, are there any plans to add high availability / resilient options to FME Cloud?
Yes.
So at this point, there isn't plans to add kind of like a fault tolerant deployment to FME Cloud. What I will say on FME Cloud is that it's extremely resilient, even though we're just deploying a single kind of virtual machine underneath. We have so much monitoring plugged in. We also have kind of preemptive monitoring, so we know when there's going to be an issue with the hardware on the instance, so we can actually reach out before there's an issue to get you moved across to a virtual machine. So we don't have plans to kind of let you deploy this much more large, complex deployment, but I'll say, yeah, what we have is very, very stable.
Yeah, and on Azure Marketplace, we do have the ability for you to very easily deploy a full fault tolerant distributed FME Server as well. So if you go to the Microsoft Azure Marketplace, you'll see that there, and you have the ability to deploy the whole platform or deploy a fault-tolerant FME server in the cloud there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody, and thanks Lena and Stuart and Dale and Elizabeth, of course, and Sienna in the back there answering questions. So really appreciate it, and hope folks out there, you know, it was valuable for you. And this is the beginning. If you have any questions at all on cloud or AR or anything about the FME platform, please do reach out. You know, we build stuff to solve your problems, and the more we understand the challenges that you have, the better we can work to solve those. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I think, well, should we hang around a little bit just to answer questions? Elizabeth, even we'll shut down the broadcast if anybody has any last questions. I guess Sienna has to sit there and keep answering. And
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'll just note as well, at the end of this webinar, there'll be a survey option, and it's just a few multiple choice questions. So please do let us know if you have any feedback, and that really helps us improve upon our webinars. So we really appreciate it.
Great. Yeah. And be sure to follow us on social. So take care. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.